iPhone 16 Pro Max up against the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. Which of these two phones take the better photo and video? As always, I'm going to give you my answer in the beginning of the video so you don't have to wait until the very end, because I know how that could be kind of annoying if you guys just want like the true answer. So my answer to which of these two phones are better is, well, they're kind of neck and neck, and that's not a cop-out. Pixel has seriously improved even in terms of video, and well, you guys will see that. I think no matter which of these two phones you buy, you are absolutely going to love them. So let's go ahead and start with the primary camera. So in terms of these first two photos, I do have to give the slight win over to iPhone. It's more detailed because it defaults to 24 megapixel photos compared to 12 on the Pixel. And I do have to admit that the color on the iPhone is more true to life, with the Pixel having this kind of strange shade of red all over the brickwork. Now in this next set, again, it's kind of almost neck and neck. I just have to say that the Pixel does a much better job with the HDR. You can see more of the information in the shadows in the background where the trees are, as well as towards the left side of the photo under that building. But aside from that, I mean, really, they are kind of neck and neck. But yeah, definitely Pixel wins in HDR. In this next set, I do have to say that the iPhone did a better job with the reds. The red on the word kindness was more true to life than it was on the Pixel. But again, we see that better HDR on the Pixel. We can see more details in the shadows of that metal grate. But the iPhone is giving more detail overall because, again, of that 24 megapixel photo. In terms of the skin tones, it is slightly more true to life on the Pixel. Now we're coming up to our first nighttime comparison on the main camera, and as you guys could tell, it is very, very, very similar. If I had to pixel peep, I would say the iPhone does slightly better with HDR as well as color reproduction, but really I would be happy with either of these two photos. I mean, they both look fantastic. Now you guys might know the iPhone does not take 24 megapixel night mode photos, it just defaults to 12 megapixels just like on the Pixel. So detail is quite similar. I mean, I honestly cannot see which phone did better in detail. They both look fantastic. Even the color reproduction looks pretty much spot on. If I had to pixel peep, I would say the iPhone is a little more true to life, but again, it is so minor that I don't even think it's worth mentioning. In this next one, even the skin tones are really, really similar. I mean, I think I'm just taking pictures with the same phone over here. If I had to, pixel peep, the Pixel did, get it? If I had to pixel peep, the Pixel did the better job. Because of the HDR, it's controlling the highlights just a little bit better. But again, overall, I mean, I'm impressed. Even the sky is just pitch black on both the phones, which we don't normally see in night mode photos. So as you guys saw, both of these phones are pretty much neck and neck. They both win in terms of the primary camera. It's impossible to say which one did the absolute best, because sometimes the iPhone did what the Pixel couldn't, and other times the Pixel did what the iPhone couldn't. And as always, I don't cherry pick my photos. I don't take like 20 photos and then pick the best one out of that. I just do what kind of normal people do. I just walk down the street, I see something cool, I take a photo, and I move on. Just kind of like how most of you guys do it. So again, I don't cherry pick my photos. What you guys saw is just what came out of the phone. And now let's go ahead and move on to the ultra wide. In our first ultra wide comparison, again, I'm literally struggling to see any noticeable big difference. Again, just aside from color, if I had to pick, I think the iPhone did maybe slightly better because that blue kind of ribbon on the left side of the screen, it's more detailed on the iPhone, whereas the Pixel kind of smoothed it out. But that's really the only difference I could find. Now again, it just feels like I'm looking at the same photo taken by the same phone. The same thing continues. The Pixel's doing a slightly better job with HDR, and I feel like the clouds pop out a little bit more on the Pixel, whereas they look a little soft on the iPhone. But really, it just kind of depends which look you're going for. Both of these look fantastic. All right, finally we get to some bigger differences. Now, strangely enough, the iPhone did a better job with HDR in this photo. You can see much more of the shadow under that little gazebo area. But aside from that, honestly, not bad with both phones. I mean, even the detail is pretty comparable. Now, here's where the Pixel kind of starts to destroy the iPhone. Everything on the Pixel is better except HDR. The iPhone did a much better job with HDR in the Lululemon sign in the background as well as the street lamp. But aside from that, the Pixel destroyed the iPhone in terms of detail. I have no idea what happened here, but this is the result I got. And the same trend continues here. The iPhone did better with HDR. You can see more colors of that store in the background. But again, aside from that, the Pixel is brighter. It's giving much more detail literally everywhere that you look. So yeah, I mean, I really have to give the win to Pixel here. And the same thing continues over here. The iPhone is doing a slightly better job with HDR. Aside from that, the Pixel is absolutely spanking the iPhone over here. You can see much more detail of that blue bus in the background, more detail in the ground, more detail in the fake grass. I mean, everything just has better detail on the Pixel. Now, when it comes to the ultra-wide, here is where the two phones start to kind of separate. I do have to be honest and say that I truly believe that the Pixel 9 Pro XL not only did the better job, but it was more consistent, especially giving a lot more detail in low light photos. So why is that? Well, this is the first time that Apple actually kind of really did a major upgrade to the ultra-wide camera on the iPhone 16 Pros by giving it a 48 megapixel ultra-wide sensor compared to 12 megapixels from the years before. And whenever there's new hardware, there needs to be, a few updates to really optimize that hardware, so it actually fully integrates with the system and gives you a good result. As of right now, I don't think Apple did the best that they could. So we'll see what the many months will bring with that new sensor, because I gotta be honest, as of right now, especially in low light, I'm not really enjoying the photos, the ultra wide photos in that night mode. So next up is the telephoto camera. So in this first image, I do say that the Pixel is not showing as much detail because I feel like it's smoothing out a lot of the noise. Whereas on the iPhone, you get more detail, but also more noise. So it feels like iPhone, or really Apple, isn't really afraid of showing more noise as long as there's detail that comes with it. So I don't know, I prefer the Pixel, but in terms of looks, but I do prefer the iPhone in terms of detail. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think. And now we get to the Bull. I don't know. I mean, they're pretty similar if you ask me. Again, it just looks like the same picture taken with the same phone, just maybe a little bit different colors. In terms of detail, they are identical. In terms of HDR, they sure as heck look identical. The only thing I could say is that maybe the Pixel did a much better job. It's just a little sharper with the text on the bottom of that street lamp on the bottom right-hand side of the photo. But that's pretty much it. That's the only difference I see. Here we see the iPhone is doing slightly better with HDR, but I mean, it is really noisy. That entire building just has a ton of noise. Whereas on the Pixel, you may not have as much detail, but you also have less noise. And yeah, slightly worse HDR, but honestly here, I think I would pick the Pixel. But let me know what you guys think. The opposite is true here. I actually prefer the iPhone quite a lot because the skin looks more natural. Everything just looks more natural. Whereas on the Pixel, it seems like they are really focusing on over sharpening to bring back detail that's not actually there. It just looks quite, I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but again, if I had to pick, I would pick the iPhone. I just wish the Pixel didn't over sharpen as much. Over here, I do have to give the win over to Pixel. You can see more detail in the shadows. You can even read the menu in the background. Well, I don't know if you guys can, but I'm looking at a 4K display and I can easily read that. And the actual text, the agency bar and social, it just looks cleaner on the Pixel, whereas on the iPhone, it looks a little bit blotchy. Over here, I do admit the iPhone did a better job with HDR, with controlling that blue light, and as well as the car. The car looks fantastic on the iPhone. But the trees and the bushes, oh my god, iPhone, what are you doing? That looks terrible. I do have to say the Pixel did a better job overall as the entire image as a whole. The iPhone just did better with HDR and, making the car look good. But again, aside from that, I think the Pixel maybe has a slight win. So when it comes to the telephoto cameras on both of these phones, I think neither of them are as good as the competition out there. But in terms of the Pixel, the HDR wasn't really all that great in certain scenarios. And it also seems to over sharpen quite a lot, especially when it comes to low light. And I think that's just, you know, the phone trying to bring back more detail, but in doing so, it actually looks worse. But on the flip side, it seems like iPhone is really struggling to keep that noise in check. There's a lot of noise, especially in the daytime areas. And also when it comes to nighttime, the detail isn't really all there. It seems like Apple's also using some sort of algorithm to kind of help show detail that's not there. And by doing so, it just looks bad. And now we're going to be comparing the selfies, and then later on we're going to go straight into the video. Now this is kind of a low light, but not low light enough for the two phones to enable the night mode. And I do say the Pixel kind of won, I mean by a lot. You can see more detail in my shirt, in my hair, in my beard, in the background. Everything just looks slightly better, actually by a lot better on the Pixel. Yeah, the Pixel kind of won here. And the Pixel also won here. I don't know why iPhone loves shadows. I mean, it doesn't even look pleasing in this sense. With the Pixel, you can see more of my face, which is kind of what a selfie should be. You can see more detail in my beard, again, in my hair. You can see more detail in my shirt. Even the skin tone looks better on Pixel. I don't know what happened to iPhone. iPhone needs to stop focusing on the shadows, it seems like. So right now I'm recording in 4K 60. Honestly, when it comes to video, I think both phones nowadays, really almost actually any phone nowadays, can record really good looking video. And of course, you can't forget the fact that you can switch between all the lenses. Oops. You can switch between all the lenses while recording in 4K 60. You don't have to stop the recording. So right now this is the main, this is the 2x zoom. And of course we have the 5x zoom. Now I did wish that Pixel made it a little bit more smoother when changing between zooms. So let's take a look at the Pixel first. And it's kind of jumpy. But with the iPhone, it's nice and smooth. Now when it comes to selfies, again, this is 4K 60. The thing that I really like about the Pixel is that the view is very wide. Like I'm almost, like if I stretch my arm out all the way, and on the iPhone as well, yeah, you can get a lot more on the Pixel. Also iPhone, what's up with your very bad HDR? Look at the sky on both phones. The iPhone is completely blown out. That's bad. Wow. And now it finally blew out on the Pixel. Actually, you can still see a little bit of blue in the sky. iPhone or Apple needs to work on the HDR on the front-facing camera because it is, yeah, it's kind of bad. So right now we're under some tree cover. The sun went down. Let's see how well both do with stabilization whenever it comes to low light. Right now on screen, it looks like the Pixel is more steady and the iPhone is a little bit jittery, but we've seen this before because usually the software fixes that once you've finished the recording. But let's do a quick little run. And that's enough running for me today. Let me know which phone did best. So I want to test out how well each phone gets rid of background noise. So right now I'm in my bathroom. It should be very echoey. And to make it better, I'm going to turn on the fan here in a second. So with the iPhone, you have audio mix on all iPhone 16 models, but the 16 Pros specifically have an extra microphone to help get rid of background noise. So let's go ahead and turn on the fan. And you should hear my voice very poorly, a lot of echo, and on top of that, the fan. So now you should hear me a whole lot better, and audio mix works in 4K 60. It works with 4K 60 HDR. It's on all the time. You don't need to do any fancy settings to go ahead and turn it on. And now we get to the Pixel. So I'm in the same bathroom, the fan is on. Hopefully you guys can hear my voice. Let me know if it sounds better or worse than compared to the iPhone. But I do have to mention that on the Pixel, it only goes to 4K 30. If you select 4K 60, voice enhance, the option goes away. You cannot do voice enhance. So the iPhone kind of does it a little bit better because it's on all the time. You don't need to turn it on, you don't need to turn it off. It's just on and it's there when you need it, and it's not there when you don't need it. So as you guys could tell, what I said in the beginning of the video wasn't a lie, it wasn't a cop-out. Both of these phones do a fantastic job, and really doing camera comparisons nowadays is getting not only harder to do, because I'm not kidding you guys, I was literally staring at my computer, actually my computer monitor right here, 4K, staring at the two photos side by side, and I really truly had to pixel peep to see which one did best. If it wasn't obvious, like some sort of HDR going wonky, yeah, I had to literally just pixel peep and really try to see which phone did best. And when you're doing that, I think that should be a sign to you, and a sign that says, hey, both of these phones are good. Stop looking, So that's kind of how I came to the conclusion. You will not be disappointed with either of these two phones 100%. No matter which photo you take, I'm sure it's going to look just amazing. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, definitely click that like button. It's free for you, but it helps me and the channel out a lot, and I always truly appreciate it. And if you're new here and you like to see tech videos, definitely hit that subscribe button. And as always, this was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios.